And now we're up to Lamed Hei Beis. Vishamnun. Once she admitted that those were the items listed that she had received from the Yisomim in collection of Aksuba, they made an evaluation. How much is the total worth of those items? B'chamisha mana. And therefore, they would subtract chamisha mana from the value of Aksuba. Shetov liyetchem hagbu es hashar. And the balance, when she comes to your Bezdin in Bavel, she should collect. And we see here that even a grusha, we should impose a neder on. And we just said that no, that we impose a shvua on a grusha, not a neder. The more answers, Rav Ashi, hahu get yevamin havu. That wasn't a case of a grusha, but rather it was an almana whose late husband had left a brother, and they were childless, and therefore she falls for yibum to the various yivamim. And one of the achim, one of the yivamim, wanted to make sure that there would be no possibility of yibum. There would be only a possibility of chalitza, to be matir her to marry someone else from the shuk. And therefore he writes her a get, this yavam, and he delivers the get to her. And the law is, this is a Mishnah in Masechet Yevamos Daf Nun, that it passes her on all the achim. There's no possibility of yibum. Now the almana comes to collect a ksuba from the nechasim that her baal left the estate of her husband, that are in Bavel, and therefore she took a neder to the Yarshim, to those who inherited the estate of her late husband, in which she prohibited upon herself all the peiros in the world, if she had received any payment for ksuba, like the takana of Rabbi Gamliel in the case of Almana. The Mishnah says, Hiskin Rabbi Gamliel hazakin sheteno deres, that she takes a neder to the Yisomim in order to collect her ksuba. Amar Rav Huna lo shanu ela shelo nises. When the Mishnah allows, according to the Takana of Gamliel, for the Almana to take a neder in order to facilitate her collection of the ksuba, that's because she wasn't married to anyone else. Aval nises, if she married someone else, ein madirin also. And the Gemara is going to try to analyze why there's no possibility of a neder for her, to allow her to collect her ksuba after she got married. Nises my timer to mefer law Baal. Because there's no question about it. The Baal, when he hears about her neder, is going to be mefer her neder, and she's relying on the fact that certainly he's going to be mefer her neder, because she took upon herself a very serious, long repercussion neder, like I won't eat peiros. So therefore, there's no point to the neder. The neder is meaningless. If she knows very well that her husband's going to be mefer, so it's an exercise in futility. Kilo nises namid. But now I don't understand. You're telling me that nises ain't madirno, so but lo nises madirno, so why? The chi mansabo mefer labal. Even if she was not married to someone else, she would not have any hesitation or inhibition to taking the neder, because she realizes that she's going to get married, and when she gets married, the Baal will be made for her neder. And the answer is, ain't a Baal made for bekodmin. Rav Huna is of the opinion that a Baal does not have the authority to be made for neder if a woman took that neder before she entered into the marriage relationship. Only in a dharm that she takes while she's tachtov after the marriage does he have the authority to be made for. So the Gemara still asks, v'nefesh dilma oz l'gabi chacham. Maybe she's not taking this neder seriously because she'll go to a chacham, and he's an expert in Nedarim. He'll be matir the neder for him. And the Gemara answers because Rav Huna holds sarich lefarid es neder. We have a basic machlokes, which we'll learn very soon, as to whether or not a person has to tell the chacham exactly what the neder was, the lashon neder. And Rav Huna is of the opinion that she'll have to tell the chacham exactly what the neder is. So the Chacham is going to understand, why did you take this neder? She'll answer, because she wants to collect the ksuba from these somim. He's not going to be matter her this neder. He understands that this neder has to be chal in order to permit and allow her to collect the ksuba. And now Rav Nachman disagrees with Rav Huna, who says that after she gets married to someone else, she cannot take this neder because it's not serious, the Baal will be mefer. Afilu nises. So the Gemara asks, nises, vade mefer lo Baal? What kind of a neder would be beyond the purview of the Baal? Now we're telling, according to Rav Nachman, that even if she got married and then took the neder, which means that the Baal has the authority to be made for neder, even so the neder will be binding and allow her to collect a ksuba. Why? She can just simply wait for her Baal to be made for the neder. She can go into cahoots with the Baal in order to allow herself to bring in the money of the ksuba from her late husband. And the Gemara answers, the madrina la barabim. And this is going to be a big sugya about what's called a neder bifnei asara bnei adam. If a neder is taken, according to Rav Nachman at least, in the presence of 10 people, then such a neder is called huda barabi, and it doesn't lend itself to hafara. So this is the neder that Rav Nachman imposes upon her to collect her ksuba of his own, even after she's married. There's no hafara. We learned in a brayso nises gova ksubasa im nidra. In other words, the brayso so far reflects the shita of, or the takana of Rabbi Gamliel, that even though she got married, she can collect her ksuba with a neder. Now, according to Rav Huna, that makes no sense, because that neder lends itself to the afaras habal, and therefore it's a meaningless neder. She didn't take it seriously. My love, shenodra hashta. After she got married, she takes the neder. Lo, the Gemara rejects it. The Bryce is not talking about a case where after the marriage she took the neder, but rather the nodra meikara. Before the nesuin, when she wanted to collect her ksuba from the estate of her husband, she took a neder, and such a neder is ein Baal mefer bekodmin. A Baal does not have the authority to be made for neder that she took before the marriage. So the Gemara asks, what are you talking about? Look carefully at the Bryce of Vatanya. The Bryce says, nises. This almana already got remarried, and yet no deres v'gova ksuba. So she takes the neder to the yisomim and she collects a ksuba. Here it's explicit that she took the neder after the nesuin. And if that be the case, then how could that neder be meaningful according to Rav Huna? Because since the Baal will be made for the neder, it's a meaningless neder. And the Gemara answers, we're talking about Huda Barabim. And the question of whether Huda Barabim lends itself to Hafara, again, not Al Das Rabim, that's a different category of a neder we'll get to, but rather Huda Barabim. She took the neder publicly in front of 10 people. Does that neder lend itself to Hafara Tanoi? That's Machlokas Tanoim between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim in the Mishnah later on Daf Mem Hayamid Beis. Vika Diamri, Ikalaman Diomar, Neder Shehuda Barabim, Yesh Lo Hafara, Vikalaman Diomar, Ein Lo Hafara. Rabbi Yehuda holds that a neder that was taken publicly doesn't lend itself to Hafara. And therefore, according to the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda, we can be Madar the Almana when she comes to collect the ksuba, even though she's married already, that she take the neder publicly, and therefore there's no possibility of hafara mitzad haba. Iboilahu. We have a machlokes whether or not a person who took a neder comes in front of a chacham to be matter the neder is tzorach lefaridus a neder or eno tzorach. Rav Nachman Omer eno tzorach, Rav Papa Omer tzorach. So according to one shita, that's Rav Nachman, you just have to come in front of the chacham and ask for a Torah. The chacham does not investigate the details of the neder and the siba, the reason why the neder was taken, but Rav Papa says no. And the Gemara wants to explain this machlokas. Rav Nachman Armein Tzorch, there's no need to be Mefarit the Neder. The Amrit Tzorch, if we're going to require that she be Mefarit the Neder Zimnin to Gaiz Leil Dibura, sometimes the Chacham will decide that there are certain details in the Neder that justify Hatorah. And that's what the Chacham understood from her or his period HaNeder. But the Chacham might Shama Mefer, but that which he didn't hear, he won't be Mefer. So maybe some of the details of the Neder will be omitted, and the Chacham will now be Mata the Neder based on what he heard, and therefore it's better that she shouldn't be Mefarit the Neder. Now, in order to understand this, we have to introduce the Rashba. Rashba says that, just 1 second, where is it? Yeah. That Chachamim are going to decide when there is license to be matir a neder. And according to this explanation, if a person is required to be mafarit in neder, because the Chacham only gave license for Hataras Chacham in a case where there's period on neder, and then we have this chashash, this fear that the Chacham won't hear all the details, then afilu b'di'eved ein haneder nitar. Because the Chacham will not give reshus to a Chacham to be matir and neder in the case of period on neder. But according to Rav Papa, that there is a requirement of period on neder, that means the Chacham only gave license to be matir the neder if and when the noder will be mefared as neder. And if the neder was not mefurat, then the Chacham say you don't have reshus to be matir such a neder. Rav Papa Amar Tzarech, she must or he must be mefared and mishum milsa di surah. It could be that when the noder took the neder, he did so in order to avoid an avera. Like, let's say that smoking would be a violation of ushmartem. I don't know. Let's say now you take a neder that you're not going to smoke, and says Rav Papa, if you don't tell the Chacham that this neder was meant for the purpose of avoiding a violation of an avera, he might be matir the neder. So therefore, we must have a period on neder, so the Chacham will determine whether or not he should be matir the neder. So now the Gemara is going to quote a Mishnah in Bechoros on Daf Mem Hey and raise a kasha on a contradiction to Rav Nachman Tanan. We learned in the Mishnah, if a Kohen anosei noshim ba'avera, he married a grusha or a chalutz and he's in an illegitimate marriage, pasul, he's not allowed to do the avodas hamikdash, ad sheyidar hana, if he takes upon himself in a neder that he won't have hana, and this neder was taken in order to motivate him to divorce his wife, who he's not allowed to live with him, is then we're allowed to give the Kohen the status of a Kohen Oved, even though he hasn't yet divorced his wife. But since we know that he's not going to have a relationship with his wife because he took the neder, therefore we can allow this noder to do the avodah. Tani Allah, the brisa, which expands that Mishnah in Bechoros, says that noder v'oved, that after the Kohen took this neder prohibiting any anah from his wife, his illegitimate wife, who's either a grusha or a chalutza, v'oved, and then immediately he can do the avodah, the Beis Hamikdash, even before he delivers his wife, his get to his wife. Is after he does the avodah, he comes down from the mizbeach, yored, and megarish, and he delivers a get to his wife. Be'i amrit, if you're going to tell me, like Rav Nachman, that ain't no tzorch lefaris neder, that when you come for a hataras chacham, you don't have to be fired. The neder is lechesh dilma azil gabi chacham v'sharsle. He's not going to tell the chacham that he took this neder because he's not allowed to have a relationship with his illegitimate wife, the Chacham will go ahead and be matir it, and therefore the neder is really meaningless. So how could it be that we're going to allow this Kohen who's involved in an illegitimate marriage to take this neder and therefore permit him to do the avodah? The neder is meaningless. He knows that he can go to a Chacham. He doesn't have to be mefarit the neder, and surely the Chacham will be matir for him. And here we turn to Daf Lamed Vav. The Gemara answers the Madrina Labor Rabim. We're going to require that he take this Kohen whose illegitimate marriage to a Grusha, take a neder in the presence of 10 B'nai Adam. Where it says, Hanicha, that's okay. Leman Diyomar, we had a major machlokas here about neder shehudar barabim. According to one, Man Diyomar, Ein lo hafara. There's no chashash that he can come to a Chacham to be matir his neder, because the Chacham is not going to be matir a neder that was taken in the presence of 10 people. Omar, but according to that sheet that holds yesh lo hafara, even a neder that was taken publicly lends itself to hafara. Ma'ikol meimar. How are you going to explain this Mishnah? The Kohen again is going to go to a Chacham and he'll be matir the neder, and that's a kasha on Rav Nachman, whose shita was on Daf Lamed Hey Amid Beis, that eino tzorach lefarid es haneder. And the Gemara answers the Madrina lay not what he called bar rabim, but al das rabim. And now we introduce a whole new category of a neder, which is called neder al das rabim. A man takes a neder al das bezdin, meaning that bezdin is going to tell him that we want your neder in which you prohibit yourself from hana, from this grusha, to be al datenu, and that's called a noder al das rabim, and you can't be matir such a neder according to everyone. If he took the neder in the presence of 10, yesh lo hafara, but al das rabim ein lo hafara. Everybody agrees that al das rabim there's no hafara. Ahani mili lidvar harashut samal dvar mitzvah yesh lo hafara. Even in the case of a neder al das rabim, if it's blocking him, this neder, from fulfilling a mitzvah, then we could be mefer kiyahu mikri dardiki, etc., etc. The Gemara now is going to prove this point that there are cases, situations in which even a neder al das rabim lends itself to hafara litzorech mitzvah. Okay, then, so this is where we'll stop for today. And Mirz Hashem, Daf Lamed Vav. Tomorrow we go back to our 7:30 schedule. Mirz Hashem. Am I right? Okay, have a great day. Thank you so much.